How you doing, guys? You should be able to hear me. Just using something a little bit different today, so I'm hoping it comes through all right. Let me turn this down. So what I want to do, and this is more of a test, again, just kind of finding my footing online, doing a lot of different things, changing things up, refusing to accept that YouTube isn't a good source, to promote, to post, to share. And what I want to do is, if you just bear with me 1 second, guys, just let me know if you can hear me. Just throw something in the chat. I want to, there's some interesting topics I want to go through today. FOMO, FUD, being the main two topics. I want to completely revamp everything going forward. I want to start to, post content. I won't stop posting analysis and stuff, but I want to start to structure the content so it's a little bit more wide-reaching, and it can go a little bit further. So if you just bear with me 1 second, I need to. Here we go. Fantastic. So a bit shareable link. I'll post it in the RFTX Discord as well. So, yeah, can you guys hear me all right? I know my mic is not muted. Let me see. I'm about to do a check myself. Let me see. I'm about to do a check myself. Yep, that's fine. Okay, so what I want to talk about, and I don't mind waiting for people to kind of come while I'm talking and stuff, but the main thing, and I'll just quickly say as well, while I'm here and while I'm kind of looking at charts and stuff, just be mindful of BNB. I've been talking about this going down to 280. I posted on Twitter it was going to go to 280. I'm, very, very confident it's going to go to 280. We did hit a low of 285. And I don't think this is finished. If we go over to Bitcoin, pretty much the same. Once we hit one, as soon as we get below this swing point, if it doesn't recover and it doesn't start to, to gain some momentum, here. So if we get down here and it doesn't start to gain some momentum and start to push, we're pretty much stuck. And my thinking is that this would be just a quick reach to take out these highs, and the high over here, and we get a nice little reversal. I'm probably going to take out these lows. And yeah, second leg down, or in this case, it wouldn't be a second leg, it would actually be the fourth leg down within this consolidation. And if that happens, we're probably looking at, 12,000, or should I say 11,655. So that's that. And I'm still a little bit confused as to why there's only a couple of people in the chat. That's a private chat. Wrong place. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Can you guys hear me? Audio is fine. All right. Brilliant. Fantastic. Yeah, no, I just want to make sure because, don't just want to be rambling for the next 20 minutes, half an hour. So look, I've been talking for 5-10 minutes already, or should I say I've been talking for 5 minutes and I haven't really said anything. So keep an eye on the cryptocurrency markets. We've got ISM numbers coming today. Be very, very careful. I do think BNB is going down to 80, and I do think Bitcoin is probably going to take its next leg down. Obviously, markets may stabilize as well, though. Going into the next rate announcement, so just be mindful of that as well. So, what are we really here for? FOMO, right? FOMO, FUD, these types of things. And the reason I want to talk about this now is because I feel in the next 3 to 6 months, we are going to get a lot of this. People FOMOing into projects, or the FUD kicking in, and creating a lot of downswings, on some of the projects that we, that we invested or that we are invested in. And, as the markets start to take a bit of a tumble, if we just go over to CHSB, for example, which is Swissborg, you can see that we're just starting to round off, right? And I want to use, and you know what? We'll use Bitcoin. We'll use Bitcoin as the example. I don't really want to change this chart, to be honest. Yeah, we'll use this one. So here's the issue, right? When we look at Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's currently at 22,338, right? And maybe you're not invested in Bitcoin, right? Maybe you are. It doesn't matter. The same logic applies. If price starts to take a downturn, right, and we start to move towards, say, 20K. 20K is a big psychological number. People are going to be thinking, yep, is it going to defend? Is it not? You've got a lot of different ways that people are looking at price. They're kind of looking at these things and they're drawing their little trend lines and they're doing all of this sort of stuff and saying, now we've broke this and this and that. But here's the thing, and the most important thing, right? And that is when we are looking to invest in something, right? And Bitcoin being a pretty big one, right? We have all heard, what Bitcoin is supposed to be about. We've all heard that we're going to see some crazy numbers. I've even seen 100 million, I think was a recent number I saw, which is absolutely absurd, right? So how do you get into this? Do you start buying now? Do you, like, if you believe in Bitcoin, you think it's going to be a great investment, right? How do you get into this? Do you buy it now? Do you buy, later when price potentially goes lower? I mean, everything's a guessing game, right? We believe price may go lower, but will it though? Price could continue to go higher. Who knows? But on the way up, and this is what's happened in this leg just here, right? And I'm going to show you on the daily chart because it's a little bit more pronounced in the, in the movement. So on this leg up, you can see this big, what looks to be like a pretty aggressive move to the upside, right? And people start to think, oh, I'm going to miss it. So they buy a little, they buy a little, they buy a little, and it keeps going. And there's people that don't buy. People are, kind of sit back and they say, yeah, I'm probably not going to buy. I'm just going to wait, for an opportunity, to get a little bit more confirmation. Price does eventually go up, and then ultimately it gets all the way up here, and while price is kind of sitting here, they're like, oh, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss it. And they start to reason, price pulled back and it's defended. Now price is starting to go up, and then it dropped again. And now we're seeing a big green candle. This is going to go to 30,000. This is going to go to 40,000. Then you get all the people start to run, like lunatics online, influencers, people, talking about price is going to go to 100,000, 500,000, a million, and so on, and ultimately what happens is you FOMO in, and then price slowly starts to come back down, and you're like, and then you just immediately switch to, I'm just going to DCA, right? Which is always the default answer for people who are basically stuck in a losing position, right? But how do you avoid all of this? Like, you have to have a plan when it comes to your trading. You can't just trade for the sake of trading, or, invest for the sake of investing. There has to be some real tangible reason why you're buying Bitcoin, right? And there has to be a plan around that. So you're not just haphazardly jumping into something for the sake of just jumping into it. One of the things that I've found is, and this is something I said to somebody recently, is if you avoid reading stuff online, you'll start to see things clearer. You'll start to see the charts clearer. You'll start to see your analysis clearer, and your psychology switches down a notch. You start to slowly work, on the way we see things, and then your psychology basically starts to morph around something that makes logical sense, as opposed to, you know, your emotions kicking in, and you end up doing something that doesn't really make sense. So for me, I think one of the best ways for confirmation, right, is what's happening worldwide. Yeah, this is something that I've been a big fan of. This is something that I've been discussing ad nauseum. You know, I've been talking about this for a very long time to, you know, the people that I speak to. I'm like, just look at what's happening around the world. Don't just look at a chart and say it's going up, so I'm just going to buy. Look, like really look what's happening around the world, right? Are we seeing things getting better, or are we seeing things getting worse, right? And what that does is it kind of splits you into two people effectively, right? And your mind basically says, okay, I can see the chart going up. I can see Bitcoin looks like it wants to grind. Yeah. Looks like it's ready. This could potentially be the bottom, whatever. This is your, I don't want to say the stupidity brain, but I just want to say that side of you says it looks good. I can see it moving. Probably a good idea to start moving forward, right? But the logical side of you, the other part of your brain, basically takes a step back and says, well, you know, if this really was a really nice spot to be jumping in and kind of investing some of the money that I've got saved up, wouldn't that resonate everywhere? Wouldn't we be seeing this collectively across all asset classes, across all markets, right? And we're not really seeing that. So then there's this tug of war that happens, because your impulse is, I can see green candles, I want to buy. But, you know, there's this kind of balance where you've got to say, nope, I'm not going to do anything until I've seen enough. I'm not going to do anything until I've seen a shift. I'm not going to do anything until I really start to see the effects of, say, inflation coming down, for example, and these types of things. So you've got to learn to create that balance, right? Using tools, using analysis, using logic, using what you see with your eye, what you personally experience in the world, right? We all experience things differently. I saw a letter recently about gas and energy prices, like £450 a month just for electricity. This is residential as well. That's absolutely absurd. You know, that's absolutely absurd. So for me, it's like, yeah, that really doesn't make sense. You know, it really doesn't make sense for me to be jumping into Bitcoin right now or anything else, you know, with any meaningful amount of money, because I just don't really see that it's the right time. Yeah. So the point being is, as long as we start to slowly think about these things, take a step back, break things down in a way that makes sense, you know, and then start to logically apply what we're seeing on both sides, what we're seeing in the market, but also what we're seeing globally, you know, in our own individual lives and so on. And if those two things make sense and they kind of fuse together, then maybe, you know, it's the right time to be considering putting some money back into the marketplace, right? Now, obviously, crypto is a very unique asset class. Yeah. You can make a lot of money in crypto, and obviously you can lose a lot of money in crypto. So these are things that we have to be mindful of as well. But I'm not going to overdo it on this one. Been talking for around about 40 minutes or so. Again, more of a test. I know I keep doing quite a few of these tests, and I'm sorry, I don't want to waste anybody's time. But once I've finalized some of the things that I want to do, I can start to create, you know, the topic and the content, you know, in a way that's kind of free flowing, so we can really start to, you know, put some really nice content out there. What I don't understand though is why, and this is just something on my end. Oh, I do actually. Yeah, sorry. I've changed the YouTube banner, so basically it just uses that by default. Okay, that's fine. So maybe what I need to do is put a thumbnail on there or something. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, yeah. So there's a few of you here. If you guys have got any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Don't mind hanging around for a few more minutes. Let me just do this as well. I want to see. cool. Nice. Actually, you know what? Being as I'm on here, I may as well just do this as well. There's something else I want to quickly set up just to see. Sweet. So this is going to be like a big me. And then this is kind of, yeah, perfect. Okay, so that's the one that I need to focus on. All right, guys, I'm going to call it there. Again, you know, I know there's not many of you here, but thanks for hanging around. And yeah, I'm probably going to, oh, by the way, I know there's only 5 of you, but if anybody's watching this video, I'm going to be doing the RFEC this evening. It's going to be an interesting one, so make sure you kind of turn up for that. It is in the RFTX Discord. I believe the link's in the description below. If it's not, just come over to the LSP TV Discord and I'll throw out the link. And yeah, no worries, Paul. Apologies again for kind of the sort of slow live, but again, I like to, do you know what, I'm at the process, I'm going through this process, with YouTube, that it's kind of this up and down. It's driving me absolutely crazy. There was when I was doing Evergrow videos, I was getting a lot of views, obviously, because there's a sort of big holder base, but I didn't want my YouTube channel to be like an Evergrow channel, or any specific sort of token. The idea has always been, LSP TV is going to be a media company eventually that's going to be doing a lot of different things, and YouTube's driving me absolutely bonkers. It's like it goes up and it goes down, and it goes up and it goes down, and now it's just kind of flatlined. And the reason being is because a lot of the people that are subscribed to my YouTube channel are actually bots. Yeah, bots and scammers and these types of things, and it's unfortunate because, the sub base doesn't reflect, the viewer count, and then the viewer count doesn't reflect the quality of the information, right? I know that obviously some of the stuff that I talk about is, pretty good, but you've got to kind of package it in a way that people want to see it, right? And I hate clickbait. Like, drives me nuts. Yeah, so I don't really want to go down that road either. So we'll see. We'll kind of get there. It's kind of love-hate relationship with YouTube at the moment, but I will ultimately find a solution, because it's just the way I am. I'm not going to stop until I find a way to break through, and really start to get that content out there to a lot more people. So we'll see how it all pans out. But yeah, make sure that you're, if you can, come to the RFEC. It's going to be in in the Discord at some point. Again, for anybody that's watching this video a little bit later on, I may start to do the RFECs and the RVCs using this, because then I can kind of point to stuff as well if I have to. But we'll see. Paul saying, I get that, but still love your content, always down to earth. Would also love to hear something from you on small caps later on. I know you were keen on Brew Labs too, so would love to hear your opinion. Yeah, Brew Labs is amazing. Right, I've always liked Brew Labs. To be honest, the first time I saw Brew Labs, you kind of know it's different. This was way before Rematic. This was way before RFTX or anything like this. Brew Labs kind of stood out to me because they were doing things in a way that kind of resonates with just a normal company, good ethics, delivering, saying one thing and actually doing it, and these types of things. I think as well, one of the biggest challenges we face is when we look at any project. Yeah. And I'll talk about small caps. I may as well answer this question now. When you're talking about, some of these smaller projects, it can become a bit of a challenge because they are tied directly to a very volatile market. Yeah. And because they're also tied, literally paired with BNB, anything that happens on the BNB smart chain or the Binance smart chain, and then BNB itself, if BNB starts to go down, they're going to invariably affect the underlying asset way more than you would see in the stock market, way more than you would see in commodities, and so on, because there's no volume, right, or retail investor volume. that's holding or propping up the cryptocurrency market. If you look at the disparity between what's happening in cryptocurrency, and this is something that I don't think people truly understand, you have a complete crypto market, right? And you have a very small group of people that control the vast amount of money that's within the cryptocurrency market, right? And what happens is when we come along and we buy into a very small project, on the Binance Smart Chain, and it's a reflection token, for example, that is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the entire whole market, right? So that economy that moves these projects isn't big money. It's just us, Paul, Lobo, me, whoever else is on the stream at the minute. Like, we're the ones that make these projects move up or down, right? And because of that, and because of the fact that it's paired to BNB, any movement in BNB, we simply don't have the buying power to stop that from happening. That's effectively what I'm trying to say. If we were to consider ourselves like the buyback and burn, or the buyback, right? There's not enough of us. There's just simply not enough of us, right, to create enough momentum, to stop the effects of Binance dropping like a stone on any of these projects, right? So we end up, and going back to psychology, we end up saying to ourselves, it doesn't matter, it's gone down, and then we default to DCA, like I said earlier, or we say stupid things to ourselves like, it's fine. It doesn't matter that I'm down 97% on my investment, and I've just lost 48 grand, for example. If you let's say you plowed 50,000 into something, near all-time high, and now you're down, say 95%, 96, 97%. We say something really dumb. We say, oh, it's fine, it's because Binance is going down. No, it's not just because Binance is going down. We've got to be realistic. We've got to be realistic, and we've got to be honest about, our investments, because if we're not, what happens is we end up in a situation where we're lying to ourselves, and that lie, your brain doesn't know the difference between a lie and a truth, especially when it comes to you. Yeah. Logically, the left side of the brain will say, oh, this person's just lied, or I've just told a lie. I'm not talking about that type of lying. I'm talking about lying to yourself. Your brain doesn't say, yeah, that's a lie. Your brain's just like, okay, so, it's the broader market, and that's why I'm down 58,000 or 48 grand on my investment. It's okay. And then you start to look for these reasons why it's okay when it really isn't okay, So we have to think about these things, and ultimately, cryptocurrency is not going to solve your problems, right? This is something that a lot of people need to understand. It's not going to solve your problems. If you're trading crypto because you think it's going to solve your problems, or if you're trading crypto because, you think you're going to make a lot of money, millions and millions and this type of thing, I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's highly unlikely. If you were one of the early investors, who got into Evergrow very, very early, or pre-launch, for example, and you managed to catch that run to the upside, well played. But that's not going to happen again. And I'm not just talking specifically about Evergrande, I'm talking about any project, because there's just a very limited, finite amount of people that are actually invested within cryptocurrency that even give a shit, to be honest. Nobody cares. There's not enough. It just simply hasn't gained mass adoption. And this is why I keep tooting on about bringing money off chain within cryptocurrency and creating an economy outside of crypto with cryptocurrency technology. This is the way that you solve these problems. But yeah, so I hope that answers your question. I know it's a bit of a long-winded way, kind of going around, but yeah. And I'll give it another couple of minutes just to make sure nobody else is typing, because I know sometimes it can take a while, especially if you're on your phone, with the, when your phone starts doing stupid stuff like auto-correcting, and you've got to keep going back and changing, and, what is normally a message that would take 2 to 3 seconds to type, it takes like 5 minutes. So I'll hang around just for a few minutes just to see. And if anybody's got any questions about anything, let me know. And let's take a quick look at cryptocurrency news as well, being as I'm here. Just be aware as well. This is what I'm talking about. ISM service PMI. That's going to be released at 3 p.m. It's currently around about, basically it's 1 o'clock. So in 2 hours, this is going to be released, and we're already seeing a downturn on the market. We're already seeing things being affected. NASDAQ took a big pump last night. Going into the sort of latter part of the day. That hasn't transposed over into cryptocurrency, which is good, because I keep saying this. I just want the cryptocurrency market to dump, flush everything out, and then we can kind of step in and start to pick things up. Much better, I think, if that happens. So just be mindful of that. Let's do a quick refresh on this. Gala, not interested. Silvergate. Now, this is an interesting one. So for those of you that aren't aware, Silvergate is a bank, basically, that is tied to a lot of cryptocurrency. They do have a lot of problems right now, so you can see Silvergate triggered yet another mini crypto sell-off. I don't think it did. I think that's complete nonsense. It was always going to happen anyway, and you start to see these ridiculous headlines. But the reality is, it's a holdings company, so basically they are holding a lot of cryptocurrency, on their books, and they're just they're just one of another bank, or another exchange or whatever. That is basically going to end up filing for bankruptcy, and we're all just going to end up in the same boat again. And this is not going to stop, So I'll ask you a question. When we, thank you very much for that great insight. And yeah, phones are bad for typing. Yeah, no worries, Paul. You're welcome, man. The question is, are we seeing enough, to warrant a bottom? No, absolutely not. Not when stuff like this keeps happening. Silvergate is just another one of a long line of banks, exchanges, custodians, whatever you want to call them, that are basically going to decimate this market until the regulatory bodies like the SEC can step in and say, we're here to save the day. And anybody that thinks it's different is lying to themselves. It's just you're going to drive yourself crazy thinking that this is not. Bitcoin's going to 11,655. It just is. Latest crypto news: U.S. Senator seeks info on Binance's business. Japanese banks to foray into stable coins. So you see, here's an interesting thing, because I noticed this recently. You have a lot of this kind of, countries that are incorporating stable coins. You've got countries that are incorporating Bitcoin into their infrastructure. You've got, certain economies that are doing, something positive. And yet cryptocurrency is still going down. We're not seeing any signs of any life within this market. We're starting to see, the frailty of cryptocurrency as a whole, right? So it doesn't match. In one breath, you're getting this really nice, for example, not MasterCard, sorry. Where did I read it earlier? I read something earlier. It was pretty positive. It might have been on a different, because every time I refresh this, it changes the headlines. But I read something pretty positive, But again, on the flip side of it, you see this week in credit card news: Visa, MasterCard, pause crypto push, tracking gun purchases. There's this kind of cat and mouse. We have a positive, and then it's met with a negative, which is not equal. The negativity is so much stronger, and then it yanks the market down, and it does it violently and aggressively. So when that happens, you just end up in a situation where you have this kind of, you've sat through all of this, you think, yep, I've caught the bottom, things are great, everything's fine. It takes, look at this. It takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you've got all of this kind of grinding, blah, whatever, slowly starts to come down, consolidates, and then one candle just pretty much takes us all the way back to the impulse just there, right? And this is what I'm talking about. That one candle basically straight back into that impulse, which is the first initial pop just here. So when we see these downward momentum, or this it's not momentum. When we see this downward drop, it's violent. It just comes out of nowhere. You guys, if you've been in my Discord long enough, I just get, every now and then I'll throw it out there, and I've been saying a few things, and I've said recently, this is going to come out of nowhere, right? You're going to wake up one day and Bitcoin's going to be down here, and it's just going to drag everything else with it, right? And anybody that thinks their investment is safe, it's not. Your investment is not safe. The only way that you can keep your investment safe, right, is to take it off chain. So you are physically holding, your coins and whatever in your ledgers, in these, and if you're doing that, then your reasoning is what's on your ledger, right, is basically going to be worth something in years to come, right? That's effectively what you're banking on. You know, as an investor, you're saying, you know, this little thing that I have here, I've got all of my cryptocurrency on this. I'm not saying specifically this one, but I'm just saying, you know, I've got a ledger, I've got all of my cryptocurrency on this, and I'm basically betting on the fact that, you know, I've put it on here to keep it safe. I'm making sure that that's locked away. I'm making sure that that's, you know, put somewhere where nobody can touch it. So that's safe. My cryptocurrency is safe. But is it worth anything? This is the challenge, right? Is what I've got on this worth anything, right? You know, and will it be worth something in 5 years' time, 10 years' time? That's the real question. This is what it really boils down to. You know, it's not about you're looking at a project and you're buying in and you're seeing that movement going up and down and you're saying, okay, I bought in with $1,000 and now my $1,000 is worth $1,570. That's not what it's about. Because you've got to look at the big picture and say, right, the big picture is the cryptocurrency market is going to take a pounding. It just is, right? And if we believe that, which I absolutely do, then do I believe that it's going to be worth something? And if so, how long is it going to take for this to be worth something? You know, and then when it is worth something, am I going to be able to swap it for something of value? Am I going to be able to use this? Yeah. And it's a shame that it's taken so long in the video for me to get to a topic that's as important as this, right? But again, I'm going to repeat because it's so important. Buy yourself a ledger, right? So you buy one of these, you put your cryptocurrency on this. I know there's some cryptocurrency tokens that you can't put on this, but whatever you can afford and whatever you can put on this, take it off an exchange and put it on one of these ledgers, right? Especially if you're going to be holding for a longer period of time. If you need liquid assets, or you know, if you need to liquidate quickly, then fair enough, that's a different story. But if you're planning on holding for a longer period of time, fine. Once it's on here, if we believe that the cryptocurrency market is going to take a downturn based on everything that we're seeing and all the logic that we can muster, then doesn't it stand to reason that the very question we should be asking is what's on this worth anything? Will it be worth anything? How long will it take to be worth something? And if it's worth something, whenever that will be, will I be able to use this? Yeah. That's really all we need to know. Because I had a conversation with somebody recently and I thought it was quite funny, right? The person was saying to me, I've got X amount of tokens in, and then he said a project. I says, that's amazing. That's great. I says, how much is it worth? And he said X amount. And I says, flipping heck, that's a good chunk of money. I said, what if it goes down? And he's like, well, it'll be worth less, obviously. And then the kind of conversation was going up and down in a lot of different directions. But the end result was, I said to him, I says, okay, so I said, what can you do with it? And he's like, well, nothing. I'm holding for it to go up. I said, so you're invested in this project because you want to make a lot of money. Yes. Yes. I said, do you really think that's going to happen in these market conditions? He kind of took a pause and he's like, well, maybe. I said, if it does, great. Like, I really want it to. Like, that'd be amazing for you. I said, but the likelihood that that's going to happen is not. I said, so are you prepared to watch that amount of money go down, sideways, up, down, even further, sideways, and then take a really nice parabolic move to the upside as cryptocurrency starts to get adopted? And I said, what if it takes 5 years to do that? I said, you know, he's like, well, man, and he took a big, deep breath. And I was like, right, now we're starting to get somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Because you have to think about these things. These things are very, very dangerous. Yeah. The way that we view our investments, you know, is quite funny, to be honest. Anything the built-in, so Lobo, so anything the built-in software can't handle, MetaMask can. Yeah. The ledgers are great, to be honest. They're really good. I've got a couple. Actually, I've got 4, but this is the Nano X, I believe it is, the Bluetooth one. And then obviously this is just the normal standard S, I believe, you know, which is just, you know, the you've got kind of, this one doesn't have Bluetooth. You plug it in, and then this is just the Bluetooth one. But you still got to plug it in, but you can use the app on your phone with that one as well. But they're great. They're amazing little things. Definitely keep your crypto safe. If anybody wanted to take these from me, I mean, good luck. I have to pry them from my dead body, But going back to what I was saying, it's so important. It's so important that we view our cryptocurrency investments for what they really are, right? They're a gamble. We are betting our money that whatever project we're in or whatever cryptocurrency or token that we're holding, is going to be worth something in years to come. And if it is, and assuming we're investors, not traders, obviously, and if it is, then will we be able to do something with that cryptocurrency when the time comes, right? Look, these are the gambles that we take. This is cryptocurrency. This is not, this is not a circus. This is not, happy lardy-dardy land. These are investments. These are investments that we feel have merit. And then we take that into, into the future and then hope that it's going to be worth something. This is why, going back to RFTX for a second, for me, it's never been about the actual token. The token for me going like into the future will be how you doing, Rui? Will be a direct, not a direct, I said that wrong. The amount of tokens that you hold really will just it will give you it's not like an equity share in the company or anything silly like that, but basically, going from this kind of reflection token idea, the amount of tokens that you hold, are directly related to the amount of money that you receive as a reward or reflection from said company, right, or project. And for me, like I've been trying to solve one fundamental problem, and that is how do we remove this on-chain problem altogether, right? Obviously, the token has to be paired to something, and this goes for all cryptocurrencies, but if you can kind of remove this element of risk when it comes to, the pairing or the LP or being dependent on Binance or being dependent on BNB or Ethereum or Poly or Matic, whatever, all of these things, it's obviously a very difficult problem to solve because you need a lot of money to be able to solve this problem. But I think about the future of cryptocurrency and I try to look at the investors, not just of RFTX, I'm talking about all of cryptocurrency. And I'm like, that person's holding DOT, that person's holding, CHSB. We've got a lot of CHSB between us, as a group, and is it going to be worth something in X amount of years' time? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I try to look at all of these different things and I'm like, okay, so how do I solve that problem? Like if I've got RFTX, and as we move forward with RFTX, it's like, how do I look at all of those investors and try to solve this fundamental problem of, in 3 years' time, we'll use 3 years as a round number. In 3 years' time, is that RFTX going to be worth something? And if it is, how does the investor take advantage of that? And there's a lot of ways in which we can do this. There's a lot of ways in which cryptocurrency can evolve over time, but you need to be making money as a project to be able to solve these problems. And if you're not making money, then, and this goes for absolutely every project, if a project isn't making money, then the token itself or the value of the token is just directly proportionate to the LP. That's it. Nothing else. So it just depends on how much BNB is in the LP. It will depend on how much your token is personally worth, and the reflection of that is in the price. The price says it's this, so you just times that by your tokens, and that's how much it's supposed to be worth. If you sell or swap minus taxes, that's what comes out of the LP. So these, like I said, some fundamental problems. Yeah, Rui. Yeah. Yeah, CHSB is awesome, man. Swissborg's great. It's a fantastic exchange. One of the very few exchanges that I trust, to be honest. I don't trust a lot of, in fact, I don't trust any exchanges really. Swissborg is the only place that I've got money, to be fair. I like Swissborg. I've always liked Swissborg. So yeah, man, 40 minutes. I keep saying it. I'm going to wait just a few more seconds just to see if anybody's got another question. And if not, then I'll just call it there. And we'll see how we get on. And again, don't forget RFVC tonight. I believe it's 8:30. I might be wrong. Might be 9 o'clock. 8:30. Yeah. 8:30 this evening. Yeah, I just want to talk about a few things. Swissborg is cool. Yeah, man. Absolutely. All right, guys. So I'll call it there. And I'll chat with you very, very soon. If you're not already in the Discord, the link's in the description below. If you need me or you want to get in touch with me, usual places. And I'll chat to you guys soon. Ciao.